Welcome to My on Mondays, an explorative approach to the possessive my through narratives, art, and sound. Each Monday brings a new creation and unique perspective. My on Mondays is brought to you by MING Studios, a contemporary art space and international artist residency program dedicated to the exhibition, experience, and exploration of arts and culture. Along with exhibiting artists from around the world, MING also serves the community by hosting innovative programs including performances, workshops, screenings, readings, artist talks, and other cultural activities. For more information, or if you'd like to participate in My on Mondays, you can visit our website at mingstudios.org. Hello and welcome to the 33rd episode of My on Mondays. Today, in continuation of our three-part series, My Sevillanos, I'm speaking with my dear friend and multidisciplinary artist, Soma Y'Luz. While Soma has exhibited her work internationally, in our conversation we discuss why she chose to leave the professional art world behind, as well as what she strives to express in her work and where, for her, art and spirituality intersect. Well, I'm here today with my friend Soma, and I'm so thankful that you're joining me and willing to have a conversation with me today. So welcome.
Thank you.
Or maybe I should say thank you for your welcome, because we're in your home. So.
It's me who says thank you, and it's a honor, and
wonderful.
I like to be with you and whatever you want to ask.
I'm excited that I get to talk a little bit more in depth about the art that you create, about the things that you create, everything that you do. I'm sitting in your home. Your home is a work of art. Everything, everywhere I look, is beauty and creation and intention. But you have also done a lot of work in the so-called professional art world, in gallery work, installations. And so can you tell us a little bit about how you got your start in the professional art world?
In the professional art world, I was very young, and in this time I learned photography. And I had the talent, but I was not conscious about. But then suddenly, well-known editors saw these photographs, and so I entered in this art world, in the international art world, photography world, and. Of course, I was delighted. I was very young, and it was very special. But I have to say, it was not what I expected, because I noticed I had this great wish in all the people who like art, or collectionists, or all these people are really interested in my work, because I had always this wildly desire to express what I see in my very own perception and transform it in art, whatever, in first photography, then later installations. But then I had to notice that the people were more interested in my person. I was young, I was beautiful, I was exotic, and not so much in the art. And there was a discrepancy, and it was really deception. So all what I imagined, it was nothing of that. They asked for me strange questions about my art, because I could not understand how they see that from their perspective, and it was strange for me, and I was not happy. I was such unhappy that I later retired when I met my husband. He was also an artist, and we were really happy, because then met two artists. We were very passionate about our work, and enjoyed very much this conversation which did not stop during 30 years, all the time he lived. Then we enjoyed really this interchange of art experience. Yes, maybe it's that.
The experience that you had together as artists.
Yeah, the experience art, not talking about art.
Yeah.
But experience art, and maybe that was my deception. I searched for an interchange of the experience of art, and not all the intellectual concepts which exist about art.
Yeah. So I have a question that I think the listeners will need to clarify a little bit. You said you were considered exotic at the time. Where were you living? Where did you grow up?
This time I grew up first in Spain, then in Germany, then in France. And this time, the beginnings was in Germany.
Okay. And so also for the audience to understand a little bit why you were considered exotic at the time. So you grew up in the States, what is usually called gypsy, but the Roma culture is what you would call yourself. So I'm sure that this had a lot to do with it. You and I just recently, just before this interview, we were talking about a lot of the misconceptions that people have about the Roma culture, and there's this very much this romanticization and seeing it as this exotic and very sort of romantic idea of it. And so did that, I'm sure that contributed a lot to the misconceptions that people had and not seeing you and your work for what it was.
Yes. It is both, How I grew up was so completely different of all what was the art world. And in this sense, they were right. I was exotic. But for me they were exotic. So that, of course, because it is different, and it was more different before when I was a little girl. There the living was very different. Today, now Roma are more integrated, and the young people study the same as the other people who is not a Roma, and there are advocates, there are any profession. Before it was not so my own culture, we lived more in our world, maybe with our own habits, and this is different. I can't express what is different. It is like, a gypsy soul is like a heart without owner. There is a certain sense of freedom, certain sense of living with nature. We make not excursions to nature and say then, oh, beautiful, oh, nice, sunrise, or like this. We live just with nature. And when you grew up like this, and not studying the things, when you have just the desire inside you to create of this, then it is very different. You have a different form to express, and different what you are searching for. Sure, not the construction, but the very soul, the very essence of the things. That was what I was searching always as an artist.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is most common amongst artists is we all have our culture that we grew up in, but we also tend to be outliers in, you know, a little bit on the outside of the culture that we grew up in. How was it for you trying to make your way separately from your family and the culture that you grew up in? Where was it? Where were the places where those two things come together, and where do they separate?
Actually, they didn't come together.
They didn't at all.
No.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
actually, I was together in the artist world. I was together, yes, with more intellectual people, with very very studied people, very cultured people, and in the best case, I enjoyed it. The friends I found, and then was my family, and I lived different life. I did not work when I was with my family. I did not work. I just was with family because it is different. And then later, I had not the typical artist career. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. When we both met, my husband and me, we got completely out of the art world. Completely interested only in working.
Yeah.
Obsessionally. We went deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in working in entering in what is art and following one line and study what means a line in a very transcendental way.
Yeah.
So we did it. Of course, all the people around said you have to publish, you have to let you see. We didn't like it very much. Sometimes there were exhibitions and we neither was there when they opened it. Maybe we were 5 minutes there and then we escaped.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, we lived our crazy own life.
Yeah.
And absolutely not known at a big audience. For me, it was more important to be appreciated from special persons than the great audience. I never had these goals. I lost it completely when I was young and saw what is actually to be in. So I lost all the illusion, and then we went together to an island and lived there completely retired.
Yeah. I think it must have been freeing, I guess, in a way, because there are so many people that they work for years and years and years and years and striving with all of this ambition to finally arrive at a certain level where they feel like they've reached a certain level of success. But you reached that very early on. And so then that sort of freed you because you saw the reality that didn't work for you.
Yeah, nothing.
And so you were able to just say...
Because it had nothing to do what I was searching in the art. I was not willing to accept this prize.
Yeah.
It was never my vision to be well known or anything in art. My measure was to become better and better and better and better and better. That was for me the most important.
Yeah.
So all the other, I was just not interested. And the creating and to following what is deep inside of me and to express it, that was very important. And for that I dedicated the life, and all what was outside, it was not really important. So what we actually did, we made art of our life. I think, yes, there was no separation between creating art and living art, being art.
Yeah.
And often people told me, me too, I would like to live like you, but I have to work. So I said, this is a decision. And if you make the decision, it's not a romantic decision. It's a decision absolutely clearly and consciously what you have to pay for, and to say, yes, I do it. I do it because what I followed actually was to become free through art. the way, to following this way, and to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
So this is what moved me, and still moves me, as I hope, and will move me until the end.
Yeah. Wonderful. So I'd like to talk about your artwork itself and what it is that motivates you when you create. So you do photography, and you also have done installations. And can you talk a little bit about the installations, and then I'd like to talk more about the photography.
Yeah. Yes, I see the installation is my main work.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. People liked so much my photography that they often think I'm a photographer, but I see myself nothing like a photographer. Photography for me was the way, because through photography I learned, I all what I learned as an artist and also as a person, I learned by watching, by contemplating, by observing. So photography, for me, it was the way to find out something about myself. And then installation is always when I have a subject. In different phases of your life, you have different subjects. And so in the installation, I could go deeper. You know, in the photography, you have to photography what is there. But I wanted to create what is inside of me. Not depending from outer circumstances or people. You know, the basic of all my work, if it's photography, if it's writing, or if it's installation, the base of all is always music, the sound. So this is the beginning, the first thing before comes an idea. I enter in music.
Interesting.
So, or sounds, any sound I meet or I listen, and this sound, I make it very intense. So it could be I'm listening to one piece of music during months, and to understand what this piece of music speaks to me. Yeah, and then come the ideas, come the visions, and the installations. Therefore, because light is a very important thing in my work, also the illumination, to create a mysterious space, and it's only the light who can show that. There are so many different ways of expressions of light, and there, so then in the installations I could compose all that, and then also work with sound. In the other art is only specific writing or photography or painting or anything, and the installation, what I really like, it is a whole. So I can integrate all my perceptions, all what is important for me. Yeah, and the final product, we went so far that sometimes we made exhibitions only one for another.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? You and your husband?
Yeah, we search for places, special places. I remember in Lanzarote, for example, where we lived, there was a ruin in the middle of the desert, and there we made the big installation, one for the other. Each one of us had a part of it, and then we made inauguration, like the opening, and we prepared all. This was our...
As if you were going to do an exhibition at a gallery, but
yeah,
you did it for each other.
Even more.
Yeah.
Even more. It was...
That's beautiful.
It was
I love
like
that.
opening a temple. It was with all these strange art things, you know? These sculptures and these objects and the light, especially the light, and there the sound, the absolute sound was the silence. There was so thick silence. And Yes, we never had the sensation, why do you do that if there is no public? You know, now in times of Instagram and all this documenting, immediately when you do whatever you do, you have to show it. And if you don't show it in internet, it not exists.
Yeah.
So this was, I don't know, 20, 30 years before. And it has no matter if it was shown in internet or not.
That's so beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
And this is moments, you know, what really carried me through life, because the experience was so deeply and so senseful. It was absolutely senseful. Even it was only in this intimacy.
Yeah.
And it was so sensual because we both had a sensation that with something like that, we give something to the ether, to the universe. And we were, therefore we could live living this life apart, because we really was convinced we give with this something to the ether and some kind of energy.
Yeah.
And this energy came back to us and made us very strong, because when you live like this, you have to be strong. So but this energy came back to us, and so we went on doing all these crazy things.
I love that. Though you say you feel more like the installations that's your main art form, there's something about the way that you describe what it is that you are trying to capture or bring out when you do the portraits. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. What I search when I make a portrait, what was my vision of a good portrait was to capture the soul of the person. So I'm convinced the soul flees when sees the flashlight. So I used only natural light whenever I did a portrait, and only used natural light. That made that I followed the light. So what actually guided me to a good portrait was not the person but the light. So I think you can, of every person, you can make a so wonderful, beautiful person when you know how to treat the light, or when you observe the light, or when light makes the modulation of a face, or gives this, when the light invites the soul to appear. And this is the moment what Cartier-Bresson.
I love him. He was one of
when he said the moment, the decisive moment.
The decisive moment. Yeah.
The decisive moment.
He was one of my biggest influences.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did it in a very opposite way than me, because I saw a film of him, and it was so funny, because he was a street photographer. He walked in the streets, and then suddenly he saw something, and he took his little camera from the pocket and made click, and then he went on. It was a moment of 1 second. He took his camera, and this was so funny, because I am the opposite of it. When I make a portrait, that takes 3 or 4 hours, and maybe I'm just contemplating this face and looking and perceiving, and it's a very slow process. So when I make photos before with the negative films, I put no film in the camera, because people also in front of the camera, they like tense, like not free.
Yeah.
So the first film, what was not a film, I made some photos, did as if I make photos, but actually I studied the face, I studied the person, I talk. I made my rare questions, deep questions, and that created a certain ambience. And sometimes I put the camera on the side and we just talked, and then suddenly came, it is a moment, and then I took the camera very slowly and just was prepared when comes the moment.
Yeah.
Light, I feel always like a sign of God when suddenly the light got to an object, be it a flower or a face or a stone, a wall, anything. Suddenly all transforms, all completely. A gray wall, when comes the right light in the right moment, becomes a wonder of magic.
Beautiful. Wonderful. It's hard to continue asking questions when you can feel the even when you talk about it, it's like, I can feel the sort of shift in the air in the room, and so it's hard to even move on from that, because
move on.
you want to sit and linger in it just for a moment, But I think this might be a good moment to talk about your current project, which is the Art and Humanity Project. It strikes me that, as you talk about light, and there's a deep contemplation there, and waiting and contemplating for the unfolding of something. And now we've talked a little bit about your current project, which you call the Art and Humanity Project. There's a deep probing there, but also it's a way of bringing things out and allowing this unfolding that happens when you ask these questions. So can you tell us a little bit about this current project of yours?
Yeah. The Art and Humanity project, I found it 15 years ago in 2005, more than 15 years. And the motive to start this project was to give impulses and to inspire people to give more space to the soul. Because, the soul makes all the difference. To live while we are living is very important. And if we not include the soul, we are not really experience this life, not in all the dimensions we could experience. The Art and Humanity Project is especially to give this inspiration through activities, through exhibitions, through courses. A strong point was to inspire people to learn person to person. For all what we learn studying, we not really learn for life. So my idea in this first beginning time was to make portraits of special people who have to transmit a lot for this world. So to these people, I made in a book, to these people I made questions. Poetic questions go deeper, not the typical interview questions, And then now, almost 20 years later, these questions came back to me. And suddenly I thought, I want to do these questions to all people, because with questions you can move. What actually moves us is the questions, never the answers. Because the answers make a kind of stuck. And when we're stuck in life, we are dead in life. It's very good for peers. I noticed during my life, two who have questions, who make questions to themselves, they always will understand each other. But two who have all the answers, they will always fight.
So it's kind of a way of inviting people to approach life or other people and themselves with a sense of curiosity instead of an expectation of gaining something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to be open for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That makes that we can become really a sense of life. And this question project, of course, has another sense too, because in our times people is not so used to really listen to a other person. It is very superficial all. So it's 20 questions. They can change every year, but at the moment it's 20 questions I make to different persons round in different countries. And then these other persons make these questions to other persons. So the idea behind is that these questions spread like the virus spread over the world. And then that one person is in front of another person and listen during maybe half an hour or how long it takes. Listen completely to another person in this intimacy of two persons who sit in front. And the most surprising answers are that when people really answer from their sincerity, when they not want to give a good answer or interesting answer, but really tell from their innermost experience, and then can come out very surprising things, and the questioner take then this with him in his life. There is a question, for example, one is, in which moment you felt most alive? One woman answered, I feel most alive in the morning when I take a shower. So this is, you think, a normal, quite
mundane activity.
quite daily activity. So what is special? And then she described how she feels the water, how every drop of this water go down on her body and makes her fresh and new and prepared for the day. And she felt so much thankfulness for to have water, and she described it in such a beautiful way that from this moment on, me every morning in when I take the shower, every morning I think of this description of beautifulness, and I feel this beautifulness.
Yeah.
So this is so special. What can happen when two people talk about things that go more wide or more deeper than the daily conversations, you know. So I perceived it like a gift. Yes, this is only questions I make to people, but all that is an exercise for what is actually highly necessary. We cannot more sleep. So therefore I'm working so much for to have access to your soul, have access to the essence of what is our being, and have access to the soul of the earth, also to the trees, to all what is around us, and to other people, because this is where we actually meet each other.
Yeah. Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. You express so well what I already sense in you, you know, and I really appreciate you sharing with a greater audience what I am so lucky to experience in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're so glad you joined us today. We look forward to bringing you more episodes in the Mondays to come.